Today we're going to be talking about a used graphics card that is one of the best bang for bucks right now, especially if you want to get into streaming.
And if you love Nvidia, the RTX 2070 is for you. On the used market right now, going between 150 about 160 bucks. Is it a good buy? We're about to benchmark and find out after a word from today's sponsor.
Building a gaming PC can be full of headaches, and it starts right at the beginning in the planning phase. You have to worry about aesthetics, compatibility issues, price, and more when picking out your parts. Well, today's sponsor Newegg is here to help you build a custom gaming PC with ease using their PC Builder tool. This tool takes all the guesswork out of building a computer. Simply select your preferred parts and let the tool do the rest. It will build a balanced PC around your dream components. There's even an AI builder that can recommend a custom PC based on your specifications. And if you're against building your own system, Newegg even has a laptop finder and gaming PC finder. Based on your use case, the games you play, budget, and more, Newegg will search through their massive catalog of systems and recommend the best possible one for you. If you're interested in learning more about Newegg and their amazing offerings, check out the links in the description down below. Big thanks again to Newegg for sponsoring today's video. Now, let's get back to it.
The RTX 2070 is an awesome card that you can obviously get in the 2070 Super variant as well, but we love the fact that on eBay you can get these cards in the OG reference model and also these really nice 2 and 3 fan models for around $150 to $160, and it definitely is a good amount better deal than some of the new cards in the market today, especially if you want the NVIDIA encoder for live streaming or if you're just playing at 1080p high refresh or even 1440p.
Now let's go over some of the key facts of the RTX 2070, and then we'll talk about our test bench that we'll be testing this GPU in to see if it's worth picking up on the used market. The RTX 2070 is a 12nm GPU with 8GB of GDDR6 VRAM. It is PCI 3x16, which is important for older systems. You don't have that Gen 4 bottleneck. And also in terms of performance comparison, it's very similar to something like a 2060 Super, which they released later on to compete with the new AMD offerings like the 5700 XT. And that's another card it does compare very nicely to. But the real question is, will this GPU be worth it over something like an RX 6600 used? And we're really not going to know until we test it and figure that out. So let's go ahead and talk about our test bench that we're going to use to test this graphics card.
So to go over the parts for the test bench, we have the Ryzen 7 7700X 8-core 16-thread processor. And cooling that CPU, we are using the Deepcool Assassin 4 in white. We have a B650 ROG Strix Gaming Wi-Fi motherboard, 32 gigs of Corsair Vengeance DDR5 at 6000 MHz, a 4TB Lexar Gen 4 NVMe SSD. We're powering this whole system with the PX1200 GWH from Deepcool, and the case is the Deepcool CH560 Digital. So now that we talked about the GPU and we talked about the test bench, let's go ahead and combine the two and get to testing. We're like Bill Nye the Science Guy up in here.
Alright guys, now that we have the RTX 2070 on our test bench, let's play some games on it and see how it does. The games decided to test are as follows. We have Cyberpunk, Halo Infinite, Jedi Survivor, Spider-Man Miles Morales, The Finals, and Warzone 3.0. Now first up in Cyberpunk at 1080p using high preset with no DLSS, you want to see the maximum performance of this 2070, get an average of 96 FPS, a minimum of 80, and a max of 115. I think 1080p high settings when paired with the right CPU, which we'll talk about more later, is a really good sweet spot for this graphics card. One thing I do have to get out of the way is, yes, we do know on the AMD side there are other GPUs around the same price point or less on the used market that might perform exactly the same as this card, especially the RX 6600 or 6600 XT. But this video is definitely targeted towards those who really want Nvidia graphics cards, who just do not want to touch AMD GPUs for whatever reason. I don't really agree with that, but if you look at the market share of GPUs right now, Nvidia is definitely dominating the space. So for those who want to buy Nvidia and want to buy used to save a couple bucks, the 2070 right now is looking like a decent option. Now let's play Halo Infinite 1080p high settings. We end up getting an average of 80 to 90 FPS with a few dips into the 70s. Halo Infinite is a really tough game to run, and seeing 80 to 90 FPS at 1080p on the high preset is really impressive. I do notice with this game, if you go down from high to medium, you actually yield a lot more FPS, so that's really good to see. Now you could stretch into 1440p with this card if you want to, but I would be a little hesitant, especially with newer games like Cyberpunk and Halo. You will eat up the VRAM pretty quickly on higher details because it only has 8 gigs of VRAM, so that will hold you back in the long run. So that's why I really think 1080p high settings is the sweet spot, or 1080p medium to hit that high refresh rate target. Now let's play a game that, well, is going to stress this thing really hard and was an absolute dumpster fire on launch. This is Star Wars Jedi Survivor, 1080p medium settings using DLSS because we absolutely need it on quality, and we got an average of 80 to 90 FPS, which I will say, is really awesome because on launch, I was rocking an RTX 2080 Super with a Ryzen 7 5800X, and I was trying to play this game at 1440p low settings and even 1080p high settings, and I was getting maybe 40 to 50 FPS. This game was an absolute dumpster fire on launch, and nowadays you can play at 80-90 FPS with an RTX 2070 that you can pick up for around 170 bucks. That's really cool to see because these games are really fun. Definitely check those games out. But this is a good point to mention that a good CPU paired with this GPU is going to make a difference. Yes, our test bench is the Ryzen 7 7700X, which is designed that way so the GPU is running at 100% load the entire time, so you see the maximum potential of the RTX 2070. But that's honestly not a realistic pairing that I would expect somebody to do with the 2070 in the real world. I would really recommend something like the i5 12400F, which is getting really cheap right now. Or if you want to go Ryzen, the Ryzen 5 5500 or 5600, or if you want to go AM5, you could go AM5. The Ryzen 5 7500F is a good option. Now let's dive into Spider-Man Miles Morales, 1080p high settings with no upscaling whatsoever. We actually got 100 plus FPS, incredibly smooth, but there's another one of those games where the CPU is working a decent amount, so don't go pair this thing with like an i3 10100F and be like, I'm not getting anywhere near the results that Matt was getting in those benchmarks. It's because you don't have a decent enough CPU for this GPU. You still have to have a solid CPU to get the results that we're showing in today's video. Now I think with a 12400F or a 10400 or any other mid-range CPU that Intel or AMD has to offer, you'll get very close to the same results we're getting here in today's video. But that's always something I like to mention because a lot of people see the benchmark numbers and they're like, wow, this is absolutely crazy, but you do need to pair it with the proper hardware to get these results. Next up is the finals, 1080p high settings, no ray tracing, no upscaling, 80 to 90 FPS. The finals is a fun game to play. It's visually appealing and looks really awesome on lower details, but running high at 1080p, getting 80 to 90 FPS, and also stressing the GPU to its limits makes it a fun benchmark game. So let me know what you think of the finals if you want to keep seeing the benchmarks of this game on the channel in the comments down below. And last but certainly not least, Warzone 3.0, 1080p balance settings with no DLSS. We got an average of 80 to 90 FPS. All in all, the RTX 2070 is an incredibly impressive GPU. Yes, AMD has better options on the used market and even the new market sometimes, which may make more sense for people who are willing to buy AMD over Nvidia. But there's that market, especially our viewers, and I want to know if you're one of them in the comments down below that will buy Nvidia no matter what and will not touch AMD. And if you're wanting to save a little bit of money or build a budget PC for somebody you know, or maybe a secondary computer or something like that, the RTX 2070 is a used GPU you definitely shouldn't ignore, and you should definitely check that link down below. It will be an affiliate link and it will help us out to shop around eBay today. I'd say the average price right now at the time recording this video, around $170 to $175 is a good price point to look at. Anything more than that, you definitely should go AMD, and I don't care how big of an Nvidia fanboy you are. So that wraps up the benchmarking section of today's video. Let's bring Jackson back in here and wrap this video up real quick.
All right, we just got done testing out the 2070, and just as we said at the beginning of this video, it's still a really solid card. Obviously, if you're wanting to go brand new, looking on the used market for something like the RX 6600 may be a good option, but if you're okay with getting something a little bit older in the used market like this 2070, then you should definitely consider it because you're gonna get pretty similar results, and also if you are into live streaming, the NVIC encoder will help you out quite a bit.
So if you want to shop for an RTX 2070 yourself, check the links in the description down below. They will be affiliate links and they will help us out. Let us know which GPU you would pick up if you had this budget, the RX 6600 or an RTX 2070 used, and if you would pick up one, why? Why would you get that graphics card or the other? Let us know in the comments down below.
And as always, we hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, check out our other two YouTube channels and also our twitch.tv/ToastyBros, and do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
And we'll see you guys on the next one. Bye-bye.
If you want to get a gaming PC with this graphics card that we have fully tested and benchmarked and with a 1-year warranty, you should check out PCBros.tech.
Shopping for graphics cards is not easy, and it's not for everybody. So you can buy a pre-built PC with our 1-year warranty and customer support to make sure you get a great PC gaming experience. Use code ToastyBros20 on checkout to save 2% on your next purchase. See you guys later. Goodbye.
Peace.